If I said to you, full frontal, house husbands, and I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, what would you think is the common thread? The answer in just a moment. Host, comedian, actress, cheerleader, Julia Morris.
Irene.
Thank you so much for
What a pleasure. Any excuse to catch up.
Absolutely.
I love that we had to pretend to do like a podcast just to actually see each other. It's perfect.
That's right. I mean, this isn't recording.
No, absolutely. Well, I've made a cake because I knew you were coming.
Look what Julia's done.
Yes, but you know what? I thought I'd get modern and kind of grate some lemon rind into it, which I think has buckled the butter. I don't even think that's a word. But it's yum.
Yeah.
It just looks a little bit like the dog choked on it.
No, it looks divine, but
yeah,
people might have to see me eating. That's not a good thing.
It's not ideal. Look, we can leave it there as an homage and then literally halve it and get involved later.
Okay.
And we've also got a little bit of eating in the background from one Ken Oath Morris.
He's Ken Oath.
He is Ken Oath.
Excellent.
He's the gentleman of the house. He's my lifestyle choice partner. So we're together, whatever. You did not hear it here first.
Dogs are like that.
Yeah.
Dogs are forever. Unfortunately, they're not forever, but they should be.
What about when they annoy you though, and then you just know how much they love you? It's very, Ken likes to bark just to let me know if there's even a dog in a 15-kilometre radius. In the next suburb.
Mine is in her autumn years.
Is she?
She can't hear anything, so she barks, but she can't hear that she's barking.
Does she up her volume then so she can? Oh, sweet baby.
And she can barely see.
Oh, my God.
I'm just trying to steel myself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, we got there early. We lost our Tootsie, who is our Portuguese water dog, a couple of years ago. It's intense. It's a family member.
Yep.
And, you know, I feel like there's such a dog side of people and a non-dog side of people. Like when people aren't really like, wouldn't you just leave it outside? Or it's a dog. Or you can leave it alone at home for 4 hours. Yeah, not really. But dog people then are like, oh, man, that's a family member. I mean, some family members, you know, you would wish go before the dog.
Dog. True.
Not me. Obviously, I don't feel that way, but yeah.
Well, I was going to say dog people understand, but
dog people get it.
You put it very succinctly.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't. We're driving down roads in Melbourne where the girls and I in the car, each of us will point out every single dog. What's this guy doing?
Yeah.
We're mad for it. We want to know where they're up to, where they're going. It makes us really laugh, and we've calmed down.
But you drive past relatives and there's no such.
I've run them over, some of them. No, that's a joke, obviously.
We've taken so long to get here, but you've been so gracious and so generous with your time. But we love Telstra, don't we?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I get to this same part of the relationship with every single telco where I'm just like, you guys are kidding, aren't you? It's the telephone calls where you have to keep yourself calm. Because I've got the Karen hairdo. So I then can't go and listen to Ken is snuggling right down into that bone. A bone to eat. I dread those phone calls. In actual fact, the truth is I have because my house is, it's not quite long, it's not, you know, whatever, but I had to get a booster for the other end of the house. A year went by and I hadn't made the booster work. Every now and then I pop in and I try to do the plug and the red to turn on, the blue to turn on, wait for it to pair, turn it on, take it out, wait for it to pair again, all that. Done it. Then I, have builders and come into the home, just dear friends, and they'll be like, I'll do it. And then they go in and they go the blue and the purple and now it's same, not working. But do you think just to avoid any sort of telco conversation, I would rather the booster box that I bought not work.
Do you ever get in contact with a human?
Oh, every now and then. But it's getting increasingly difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You can just do it on our website. I'm like, right. See you never.
Yeah. Problem solving.
Absolutely.
Not problem.
I had a conversation with someone recently about the free-to-air TV, and I was saying one of the great joys about free-to-air TV is no password. no username that I have to remember or go back into the passwords of my phone, which also, I guess, as, we get into our extreme 40s. Slowly but surely the brain's just like, what were we doing? What is this? What's happening? When did that happen? Which is also a lot of those signature signs of either overcommitting, being overbusy, but also dementia. So then you got the stress of, oh my God, my brain just dropped out halfway through that sentence. I hope that's not dementia.
That's
right.
And
also having witnessed it in my own family, where you're just like, wow, that is, I'll tell you, you work your whole life and like a dog and do everything essentially as right as you can, as my dad. And then, in that last year to just not even be a vague shadow of yourself, I'm just like, and also we were in that weird bit of you couldn't make any choices. There was like, well, once New South Wales can have that, once this happens. And, as a family, we were like, we're just for comfort until that moment is there. We understand what's happening, But then everybody says to you over that time while that parent's not well, tell them to up the morphine.
Yep.
I'm like, I call them daily.
That's the miracle cure, apparently.
But it's just not really it's just not what anybody does.
No.
I think in that, it's tonight, so I'm going to help them, but they just don't do it. So when you're actually in the middle of that experience, I definitely, when my dad was going through all of that stuff, I was thinking, gosh, I'm going to get in contact with Andrew Denton. I'm going to lend my voice to this. This is just such an undignified way to, have this last part of your life when it just feels like such a massive rip-off. And my dad was very healthy. So it just taught me that, by when I turn 60 in a couple of years, I'm going to up everything. I'm going to get vegetable oil, just drink it in the mornings. No, I don't think I want to last till that bit. But I do want to be around.
And you mentioned the choices thing.
Yes.
But that's a double-edged sword.
Oh, I'm flying to Switzerland. I'm going to get the tablet. I'm going to fly home. I'm going to, hide it in my jacksie or something and then put it in the safe. And then when that day comes, I get the choice if I can still lift my arms.
But if you don't, then a family member has to decide on your behalf.
Just make sure it's someone that you trust who doesn't have their own thing going on, like misery. That's not me, though. I'll get Ken to do it. Oh, I'll put some fairy floss on my lips or something and then get to push it in. None of that sounds right. But I think, I've got between now and some time to make a plan.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a plan.
But I'm quite serious about it. Interestingly, I think my generation, I don't know whether we got sad speaking about it back in the day or nobody spoke about it back in the day, but my parents certainly weren't open about those sort of conversations.
The same generation, we didn't speak about it.
Yeah, no, not even until that, now I sort of am starting to get older feeling, which I think was in my parents' 70s. Then I think they had a lot of grown-up stuff in place anyway, but then they were kind of like, okay, well, this is what I would like. If something happens, here's some of my wishes and tra-la-la. So, yeah, I've had those conversations. Because the other thing is, let's say, see ya, as you know, all of our bodies are working in different ways at different times. So then if the heart's just like, oh, you've been too naughty for too long, or whatever that is, or you're making too much cholesterol and you missed a couple of days of your statins, or however that rolls, right? So what happens that next day? So I just didn't want my children just to go, I have no idea. I wanted them to know, the house would need to be sold immediately. This is kind of how it would roll. Right. It just kind of goes 50-50. I don't want any caveats of and this dribbles in at 25 and this dribbles in at 30. No, it feels very controlling. Here's what you need. If you go through it, you go through it. Guess what? I never had it.
We've spoken privately quite extensively about health and what's happening. It's a lot to think about.
Well, I think it seems to me beyond 50 is just a series of specialist appointments to keep things on track.
Yep.
Definitely baseline testing of stuff, but it does then become a very expensive part of your life. which with each of those appointments, which you're happy to attend because you know any window in will help. It's not like I always take the advice. Oh God, I must do that. Oh yeah, kale. But then tiny changes if I can. But then you still got to live your life.
Exactly.
But I don't think there's any excesses anymore because your body won't allow it.
Well, not eating kale, and
Yes.
we both love sugar.
Yeah, oh God, the sugar love affair is hardcore. Speaking of which, why would we leave that by itself? Yeah. Thank you, Ken. My boyfriend knows there's cake.
So we know no chocolate, no grapes, no onion for dogs.
Avocado.
Avocado is bad.
Ken's allergic to chicken.
Right.
Even though it's his favourite thing, he daydreams about it.
Yeah, he's allergic.
He loves this truth, though. So that in turn stopped us from giving him eggs. Right. We made the connection.
Yeah.
We didn't know which one he was allergic to first, obviously. And, Ken, he keeps a pretty sedentary diet because, I think cavoodles get tricky tummies. I think because they're sort of a mix of different breeds then.
Yeah.
And we're not like, you must have bones and you must have... Ken's now leaning his head on my knee, pressuring me for cake.
He also has some other tricks which a lot of dogs have.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's all manipulation and pressure, which I must say I'm always fond of.
Yes.
That is so good.
The best.
This is what's so great about internet TV, is that after years of following rules, which we are same vintage, same shows, same, there's another whole television industry that's on the move in the internet that I'm like, how do we take a step into the future? Because I feel like it's tricky being on set as a senior because there's certain protocols that have gone on set in years gone by where you're like, excuse me, but that I've earned my way to there, which is why I get that, or I've earned my way to there, which is why that provision is given for me. Right. So, but as younger people come through the industry and then they start to build the industry in their vision, a lot of those things are gone because nobody knows they were done. And so all of a sudden you're feeling disrespected, which is weird.
Yep. Well, I feel I've got to unlearn everything I learned.
Right. Well, it's not a great time for our brains to try and relearn something.
No.
I'm forcing it to. It sort of was part of accidentally.
But you're still very visible. Plus, you're doing this amazing internet stuff.
Slowly but surely. So I got a bit jealous towards the end of last year. I don't know, somebody was doing some show and I was just like, it sounds so incredibly disingenuous to host a really big format that is beloved and that we have a ball on and is the best job all year. Mm-hmm. But what's weird is that it's 6 weeks a year. And essentially, I don't work on anything else for the rest of the year. So I'll go and host little bits and pieces and, do, shows where I'll go and be a guest on, so just to keep my olfaccia out there. But I just thought I need to create something else. No one is going to give me a different job if I don't show that I can do a different job. And that is the advice that I give to young people. Like, my daughter wants to break in the industry or that sort of thing. I'm like, you just got to start making your own content because otherwise you're one of everyone. And I don't even know how it bleeds out to be that moment.
Millions and millions of everyone's now.
I do find if you make something and put it out, somehow the universe does reward you. It actually does happen. It does lead to a job or it'll lead to someone else who says, I saw how you did that. Will you come work for us while you. It definitely does, like putting something yummy out there.
Well, something I've spoken about is that when we used to make shows, there was a barrier to entry.
Absolutely.
Now there's no specific barrier to entry.
So, John, how hard is it not to judge the level of talent of every single person? It's difficult, but... The one thing that I forget, and I listen a lot to Ken's. Ken, there's nothing buried on the Ken couch. I find that lots of people use the word influencer as an insult.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're the idiot. Because who doesn't want to be influential?
Yep.
It might be done in a slightly different frame. You might not want to wear a bikini. You might. But
I do look very good in one.
guess what? They know what they're doing. They know how to sell themselves. All those things that when we started in the industry, it was uncool to show yourself.
Yes.
You had to let your talent do the work and be cool and say no to projects. And there was just another whole set of rules. So now the I'm amazing stuff, and anyone who was I'm amazing back then, and I feel like I was very much like that, like Oddie the dog from Garfield. I understand the level of pest that I would have been.
Put yourself out there.
I was so happy. You know, I used to watch Magda back in the day. It wasn't back in the day. It was like a year before, 2 years before, and just think, oh my God, she's so amazing. That is the job I want.
Frontal, yep.
That is the sort of job I want. And then within 2 years, accidentally, certainly not by any of my professional architecture, Doug McLeod happened to be at a stand-up gig that I was playing, and Doug McLeod at the time was
the producer of...
he was producer, wasn't he? He hadn't gone to executive producer for Full Frontal, and he'd also come with the OG crowd from the Fast Forward as well, hadn't he? It was just a brilliant, very...
that OG crowd.
Yeah. And I even remember the room where you guys, we had to walk through there to head on out and be like, hello, hi. Yeah, loud and... Yeah, which now I look back would have just been pushing through the social awkwardness. Now I can give it a vibe, which is where ADHD meets ASD meets the push through, which is so overcompensating that people are like, oh God, she's a bit much. And you're like, I'm actually not. I'm hiding in my house for most of my life.
Yeah.
Which I love, don't get me wrong. It's my favorite. That's why I literally have built myself a one-person hotel paradise. It was the best of times.
Yes. Well, Doug, while we're talking about Doug, has sadly left us now, but Doug is one of those people. He was a writer, producer, executive producer on the greatest comedy shows. Oh, and dramas
gentility and kindness to his work, but ruthlessly funny. Like, somehow managed to marry that combination.
This is what I was going to ask you. How does someone so nice get so far?
I reckon we've been weeding out the C's.
Yeah?
I think slowly but surely. It's taken a long time. Sun Tzu is right. If you stand by the river, the bodies of your enemies will float past. But niceness will prevail. Not where niceness meets talent or kindness meets talent. It has to prevail because people want to work with you. Because I did a series of The Apprentice.
You won Celebrity Apprentice?
Yes. Well, I didn't know the show. So I was in LA. We were broke. We were so broke. I was having to come home every 5 weeks to do any gig I could get to get next month's rent to go back to LA to try and live the dream and break America. I mean, kill me. And I got to the airport and my agent called me and she said, listen, they want you on The Apprentice. And I was flying home to do a series of gigs for a week just before the airport because at the time my ex my husband then put an episode onto my laptop for me to watch on the plane. When I lifted my wheels, they were like, they want you for The Apprentice. When I touched, they were like, we don't know if they're going to take you or not, but we'll see how we go. By the time I touched down 15 hours later, I had the job and we were starting 3 days later. Now I know in television, somebody must have dropped out. Because at the time, Channel 9 were not particularly fond of me, I think.
This was after House Husbands.
No, this is prior to House Husbands. Right. So it was Michael Healy putting me on The Apprentice that turned everything around for me. Because I'd been 8 years in the UK and I'd had 2 years in the US. That time period out of Australia and coming home to do Good News Week, and there's certain things for comics that we can come and go, and they're going and doing all those world festivals to kind of earn that little bit of money, and it was wherever the earnings were at that point. And The Apprentice was like some wage that I don't remember in a long, long time. I was like, what do you mean? That's what you get a week. And so I knew the longer I stayed, I could have another week's wages. That was my motivation, because when I first arrived, I was just like, oh, there's a lot of really competitive.
Is that pretty much the same for Celebrity and all those shows that you stay, you get paid, you leave, and that's it?
Yeah. So, yes, with every week you last, you get another week's wages. And I just thought, okay, well, literally at that point in time, every week I could stay, we could have another month in Los Angeles. So it meant I would be able to stop that commuting. You know, I feel like I've just flogged myself forever, definitely. Just like, oh, and all of it financially motivated, never career motivated, I don't think. I just wanted to be on the telly.
Did you enjoy being on The Apprentice?
I absolutely loved it. I didn't.
Was it intense?
It was very, very intense. And I guess what the wages were absolutely by the hour, as it turned out.
Right.
So shooting reality television, I had no idea at that time. So you would shoot a challenge for however many hours that took, you know, up at 6, if you were lucky to have sleep in, straight into makeup, ready to go at 7, right. Wheels rolling, we're on television, let's go. Driving to the event or working out what the event was going to be.
How much were you told?
Absolutely, as you see on the show, you are told. So there's zero preparation time. You have to wrap your head around it at that moment.
Right.
And I don't think I had given myself ever any credit for what I now understand as the ADHD side of my brain as an immediate problem solver. Like the Matrix, I can see it. So my trouble was trying not to force that on everybody as well.
Got it.
And also I was raising children. The girls would have been 2 and 4 years old at that time.
I can't remember. Was there a storyline about you being, pushy or anything like that?
I think because I had worked out just from the way that I was living, I just worked out to, as a people pleaser and as however my brain works, and I didn't understand the maths at that time, I argue back twice. Not even argue. I'll just be like, I think that we should da-da-da-da because if we do that, that idea will fall over for this reason. And then someone will push back and I'll say, but the thing is, it will fall over. So then we've got more work on the other end. They push back another time, I've got no business with it because I'm like, I'll just bury you in the boardroom later.
Did you feel uncomfortable in those moments?
Yes, because when I say now, I can be a smart ass now saying I'll bury you in the boardroom later. That came later in the process. Because it came, the first boardroom experience where we came in and came face to face with Mr. Burris. Oh,
yes, you were Mr. Burris. Yes,
huge fan.
You're
huge
still
fan.
A friend.
A long time listener, first time caller, and and I realised that no one was mucking around. Like we were in trouble, and from the outset we were in trouble. I had put out a joke as our team name that he was very offended by.
Right.
So it was Burris's Babes.
Right.
Yeah, looking back. I know I was part of the patriarchy.
It's pretty tame for you.
Absolutely right. I mean, there's so many other B words I could have gone. Anyway, so then because we got into trouble and I spent a lifetime making sure I'm not in trouble, I make it, even now, every day, my life is so that I don't get in trouble. I don't know. It's part of my mentalness. And so I just don't like the confrontation. So getting into the boardroom, I was like, whoa. It was like the very first time anyone watched one of those really fighty, like a maths or one of those where you're just like, oh. Now we're used to people being that nasty. But then I was like, oh, okay. So I started to matrix a little bit. Oh, that's who you are. Oh, okay, got it. And there were so many different personalities who were all trying to prove, most of them trying to prove.
Instructed by producers to be a certain way? No.
Only in the very first pieces to camera, when you're talking about stuff. And the producer who was looking after me was a producer that I'd worked with before, this absolutely magnificent girl named Yana. And she said to me, when you're doing your pieces to camera, and I love them, will you speak to me the way you speak to your friends? Like if you're telling them a story.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay. She said, because at the moment, while the performance is amazing for stand-up, it's going to not feel true. So you're telling me the truth, let's make it look like it's the truth.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, that was and after that was my window in for the rest of the run. And then I realised, folding back to that one-on-one moment, which in reality television, as you'll know, is called a confessional. That is your time with the audience you don't need to cause all that drama with everyone else. Or she's the bitch, or da-da-da-da, or, So if anyone, I could see people turning on me at different points when they would do that. And I would tell you, I'd be like, wow. There was one challenge we did where we had to write I had to write a jingle or a whatever, right? So, and it was specifically for 7-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So I had much younger kids. So while everyone was doing other things, because of how broadly I kind of think about, I'm like, it's fine to write a story, like the prince walks in and the princess does a headstand or whatever. I'm like, what are the levels of logic for a 7-year-old? Because I've got, like, my kids at that point were into Monster High and into all sorts of little definite things, Moshi Monsters and whatever. But that all felt very kiddie for anyone who's 7. And so does Princess, and I'm like, I don't know, and so does Dinosaurs a little bit. Like, so I was trying to work out, where are they at? Are they in the fart bit? Are they in the, how much is rude without getting into trouble? How much is whatever? So I'd done this list. I'm like, okay, well, these are kind of things that when the camera turns back on, I'm going to look smart because I've looked this thing up. So I said to everyone, big mouth, it's another lesson I've learned through the years, don't tell your fucking jokes to the person next to you until it's time the camera's rolling. Otherwise, they do it back to you. So I'm on the computer. One of the contestants comes in because I said, okay, in this bit I'm going to tell you. And they're like, wow, that's fascinating. And I'm like, right, incredible. Blah, 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 blah. And the person behind me goes, do you know what? What we need is a list of, like, the kind of the logic of where 7-year-olds are up to. And I feel like that could kind of be looking at stuff like, and then just essentially read off my page.
What you said, yep.
Waiting to, I assume, make me turn, ready to fire me up. Now Ken's crying at the front door. So I just looked at the person and said, you know what, I reckon that's exactly what I would have said. And then
Nice.
I was like this. I'm like RoboCop, got your number. And I've got better at that. And now I'm the master chef of it. It was just a weird moment. And in reality television, sometimes, I was never told, but sometimes people are like, go and tell Julia, like, I'm easy to wind up. I mean, it takes 1 second. Like, get the pilot light on and I'm guaranteed, not blow or be nasty or whatever, but like, why? That's not fair. Thank you, ADHD, know that now. Thank you, medication. So I didn't want that person to think that they had the one up on me, and that's even if they were doing it on purpose. Do you know what I mean? Because you kind of get in that space too. Looking back, I'm sure it was on purpose, but was it?
Yeah.
Or had I just told them, and some people will repeat the idea that you just said to them.
Yeah, sometimes people think it's their own idea, but it's rare.
Yeah, when you're like that, what do you mean that just came out of my mouth?
Yeah. And when you're in a reality competition.
My husband had said to me, you're not really book smart, you're more street smart. So I never felt very clever, but I never felt very clever all along. There's great family stories of how I've or didn't hand in schoolwork for 2 years at a time, and
But
all these
street
stories.
smart is arguably the
Please.
more beneficial smart.
I mean, we love a book. I can't read one, but yeah. So then I worked out, if I was a really good, kind, supportive second in charge, that even if I went into the boardroom and we'd lost the competition, surely the project manager would not be able to fire me because I had been exactly what they wanted. Yeah. So that left the other 3 contestants or 4 contestants or whatever it was, one of them was going to get fired. And so I whether it was just making sure they had a glass of water, or like you would with your CEO.
Coming up in part 2.
You don't work, you don't eat. The life of a working comic is that. I noticed, like, some of the old jokes about, Hughes is rich, Hughes is rich, all those ones, right? I love Hughes so much. But I got a couple of, you're rich. And I was like, I mean, I've got a lovely house, but it wasn't.
This is replacing the doctor.
When Dr. Chris headed on over to 7, you had this opportunity to almost reinvent the show, but nobody wants a reinvention. We were in this, you just got to see people stand side by side, don't you? And the second Robert walked through the door, and there was definitely other incredible, viable, ready to go, excited, that would be amazing. And then Robert walked through the door, and we got on set, and there was something in his, sort of planted his feet, and He was somebody who felt like he knows himself. He just feels incredibly worldly. He's really funny. We have a very similar speed of thought. There's a real yummy warmth. We are excited to be around each other. And all these lovely revelations that with each passing year have just got better and better. I had to say to a couple of people, you've got to wrap your head around the fact that we've essentially got Matt Damon alongside to host this show with me.
I wonder how you live that private life with so many people focused on you.
We'd be in restaurants where the kids were little and people would come and pull up a chair to the table. And I would then be polite to them because I know that's not easy. Like, then my ex, he would not be very happy with that. So then I'd be like, oh, I know he's grumpy. I've got to end this conversation. I don't know how to get rid of this person because they're sitting in the...
Because you'll be vilified if you try and,
Absolutely. What a bitch. The lead singer walked in and essentially just like sends a leg over my legs and kind of glides on in the clamp. And then I'm thinking, I think I'm going to get into trouble. Jerry. Well, we always said Planet Jerry. Jerry's on Planet Jerry. I love Jerry. Whether you win or not, it's an amazing honour to be somebody that's, one of those people that for years, John, years, I've wanted. Why do they see me? Why? And then now that I'm one of those people, I've slipped over to that. It's a lot of work, John. I did love my experience on Full Frontal. It was my first proper journey into, working. When you're a comic, you work by yourself a lot. In Club Med, we were very collegiate, and I just assumed it was going to be like that. And I don't think I quite realised that each and every person has their own story, Having unregulated emotions is not great. I wish I had known that all along. I feel like I would have been an entirely different performer, and I feel like I would have had a more steady and more successful life.
Plenty more fascinating chats to come. Like, subscribe, see you soon.